Recruiters spend about 6 to 8 seconds scanning your resume before deciding whether you move forward or not. That's it. So you need to make sure that it's as perfect as it could possibly be. Today I'll be sharing the resume that got me interviews at places like Amazon, Databricks, Deloitte, Asana, and more. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to structure your resume so that it passes the automated screening systems that companies use, what sections actually matter, and how to write bullet points that stand out. Before we talk about content, we need to talk about format, because if your format is wrong, no one's even reading your resume. A lot of people make this mistake. They search up software engineer resume template and then pick a weird one with colors or 2 columns or some weird graphic. Do not do that. Those resumes look cool to humans, but your resume isn't read by a human first, it's read by software. ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. It's the software companies use to automatically scan and filter resumes before a recruiter even sees them. This is because at big companies, thousands of people are applying to a single role, so a recruiter is not going to go through every single resume and read it manually. ATS does things like parse your resume into structured fields, search for keywords from the job description, filter based on graduation date, and also rank candidates based on skill match. If your resume has things like fancy graphics, tables, text box, then the ATS can misread it. So step 1 is simple. Your resume has to be ATS friendly. Here's what you want for an ATS friendly resume. 1 column, black and white, standard font like Times New Roman, Calibri, or Arial, clear section headings, no images, icons, sidebars, text boxes, or graphics. It should look boring, and that's exactly what you want, because boring format is optimized for parsing, and your content should stand out, not your design. Now let's move on to the actual sections of the resume. The structure I followed was extremely simple. Header, education, experience, projects, and skills/certifications in that specific order, and I'll explain why in just a moment. Now let's break down each section with an example resume that you can follow along with. To start off, we have the header. Your header should only take up 2 lines. The first with your full name, and the second with your email, phone number, LinkedIn, GitHub, and a personal website if you have one. If you don't have a personal website and you're applying to software roles, then you should probably make one. Your header should immediately show that you're professional, reachable, and that you have some sort of online presence. Many times, if recruiters shortlist your resume, they'll go through your LinkedIn or your personal website, so make sure to keep those updated. Now, recruiters will look at your resume from top to bottom, so the order of these sections is in order of most importance to least importance. The first section after your header is your education, which should include the school you're going to, the degree you're getting, and your expected graduation date. The expected graduation date is specifically important because for a lot of these jobs, recruiters are only looking at candidates from a specific graduation class, so they make sure to look for that at the top of your resume. Other than that, you can add things like your GPA if it's strong, any awards or scholarships or competitive programs, and if you have space, you can also write relevant coursework related to the job you're applying to if you want. Be specific with anything you write to show the recruiter that what you did is actually impressive. For example, instead of writing just Dean's List, write Dean's List awarded to students with GPA above 85%. Now the next section is experience, which is the most important section of your resume and where you should be spending the most amount of time. I know if you're a student or early in your career, you might not have a lot to put in this section, but try to think of just anything mildly relevant that you've done in a professional setting, like a club or a design team, or if you were a TA for some sort of course, because any experience is better than no experience. If you really can't think of anything, then maybe it's a sign that you should go out and try some of these other experiences before applying to a job, because your chances of getting that job will be exponentially higher. You have to think about it from a recruiter's point of view, because obviously they would prefer to hire a candidate with some sort of experience that's relevant to the job. On the other hand, if you have a lot of experiences, then limit this section to the experiences that are most relevant to the job. For every experience you list, you have the entity where you had the experience, the role you had, the location this experience was at, and how long the experience was. Now for the most important part. Every bullet point for the experience should follow the APR structure, which stands for action verb, project/task, and quantified result. To explain this, let me just show you the difference between 2 bullet points. For instance, you could say something like worked on AI agent for AWS. Or you could say something like developed an AI-driven recommendation system for cloud optimization, achieving 95% customer acceptance rate. You see the difference? Now let's break down why this works. To start off, you need to use some sort of strong action verb like engineered, architected, optimized. Don't use anything like helped, worked on, assisted, because you're not an assistant. You want to show that you were the primary person that was doing this thing. Secondly, context matters. The recruiters reading your resume are probably not technical, so all the technologies and all the technical terms that you use in this bullet point, they might not understand. What they will understand is the business value or the effect that this bullet point has. For example, in the bullet point I showed you, achieving 95% customer acceptance rate is something that they will definitely understand and stand out to them. Numbers are everything in this section. Every bullet point that you have should ideally answer things like by how much, how fast, how many users, what percentage improvement. These things make the work that you did quantifiable and also makes it look much more impressive. Not every bullet point needs to have some sort of metric, but you should follow this general format for every single one. Now, I know for a lot of your points, you might not exactly know the amount or the metric that you need to put. And here's where you can kind of exaggerate things a little bit. Now, I'm not saying to lie about any of the points that you put on your resume, because if an interviewer asks, you should be able to defend your point and why it's that. But at the end of the day, no one's really checking or verifying that exact number. So you just have to be able to defend the number that you put and you're good. Now, another specific thing that I like to do in this section is go through each bullet point and bold the terms or metrics that stand out, because that visually stands out to recruiters. Now, the next section of your resume is projects, and this is where software developers really stand out. Your project should ideally not be basic tutorials from YouTube. Not saying there's anything wrong with that. I've done a ton of those, but ideally you want to take those and the things that you learn from them and make something that's a little more personal and useful. Think of something that's relevant to your life and something that can solve a problem and is actually useful to you. For example, let's say you're really into basketball. Try to make an app that can track your basketball shot with a camera and improve that shot somehow. Or let's say you're really into music. Try to think of something that can create playlists for you and maybe try to build a song recommender. Things like that. I recommend to do something personal because one, you'll be way more motivated because you're working on something that you actually care about. And two, it's gonna force you to design the project yourself, and that way it's going to be unique. Now, the greatest gift that our generation has is that we can use AI. Now, I'm not saying to use ChatGPT to code your whole project for you, but at least if you have an idea, you can ask it what kind of technologies you can use and kind of help lay out the project for you so that you can build it yourself. Once again, for this section, you should use the APR format to explain what you did and what impact that this project really had. Some things I like to do for this section are list the technologies that I use for this project beside the title, as well as I like to have a GitHub link to the actual source code so that if someone wants to actually view the project or run it themselves, then they can go and do that. Finally, the last section on your resume is your skills section. For software engineering, I like to break this section into 3 different categories. So for me, I have programming languages, frameworks and libraries, and software tools. And then for each category, I just have a list of the technologies that I use. Even if you don't fully know that technology, I still recommend listing it, because at the end of the day, if you get an interview for that job, then you can specifically brush up on the skills that you need to know for the interview or for that job. But just them knowing that you've worked with it before is better for you. Now, if you have any certifications, I usually like to combine this section with certifications as well, and then just have a category for certifications and list those. Honestly, I don't think certifications are necessary, especially if you have really strong experience. But if you have done things like AWS cloud certifications or some sort of cybersecurity certifications, then they are good to put on your resume. Now, overall, this is what your resume should look like, more or less. Ideally, it should be 1 page, especially if you're a student or starting off early in your career. Clean font, consistent spacing, 0.5 to 1 inch margins, no giant blocks of text, and 3 to 5 bullets per row. Now I'm just going to talk about some additional tips to help you when you're making your resume. First of all, I recommend formatting your resume with LaTeX in Overleaf. If you haven't heard of LaTeX, it's kind of like a coding language that you can use to write documents. And I find it really helpful because it can format your resume really nicely and you can control every little thing in LaTeX, unlike Word sometimes. You can also use ChatGPT to write the LaTeX for you, so you don't even need to actually learn how to use it. Once you're done writing your resume, be sure to read it over and over again and check for any spelling errors. And lastly, be sure the formatting of your resume is really clean. So all the things I pointed out, like bolding key terms, italicizing certain things, where you place all the locations, the dates, the order of them, everything matters. If you're looking for a job right now, I recommend writing different resumes for different types of roles. So for example, you could have a resume that's maybe more focused on AI machine learning roles, and then you can have a resume that's more focused on backend, things like that. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like, subscribe, and share this video to someone who's maybe struggling to find a job right now. If you found this video helpful or have any questions, then be sure to leave a comment below, and good luck on the job search.